I can confidently say that this is the best arc of Dragon Ball GT, no question.
After the boring mini arc that was the Lord Lu section, GT really starts to pick it up as the story dives more into Dr. Mew. Dr. Mew was the scientist responsible for creating Cardinal Muchi Muchi, Leon, and Lord Lu. And a part of him creating those machines meant that he was the true mastermind behind the Lude cult and Doltaki. And speaking of Doltaki, after the destruction of Lude, he reports back to some planet to give Dr. Mew some good news, but is shocked when he is met with someone else, someone we as the audience hadn't seen yet. And with the slow turn around in the chair, sitting in the shadows with a deep voice, yeah, it was pretty clear from the jump that this character was someone of great importance. And then seeing how scared Doltaki was when this character turned around, you knew that whatever hierarchy existed with Dr. Mew, General Rildo was higher on that list. Rildo wastes no time in telling Doltaki that his services are no longer needed and quickly disposes of Doltaki. Now that was the main storyline. Somewhere far, far away, the Saiyans are flying through space looking for the next Dragon Ball, and it's at this point where Trunks brings up the idea that maybe they should take Pan back to Earth. Considering what had just taken place on planet Lude, Trunks basically stated that he'd feel more comfortable not having to worry about Pan and replacing her with Goten. And since the very first episode, Pan's story has been filled with everyone around her treating her like a little kid, and I mean she is. To the normal human, yeah, she's unbelievably strong, but her loved ones are some of the strongest beings in the universe, and with the fate of the Earth on the line, it may be beneficial to have stronger people. Pan doesn't take this suggestion too well and begins to cry. No matter what she does, it seems like she'll never be considered the right person for this mission. And I mean, you gotta understand both sides. On one hand, Trunks and Goku are just looking out for her, and on Pan's side, she just wants to prove her worth. But it is here where something interesting happens. Giru offers Pan a tissue to wipe her tears. Out of all of the Saiyans, Pan has treated Giru the worst by far, yet when she is crying, he is the only one by her side. And even in this moment, she is still hostile towards Giru. But before Pan can think about this situation any longer, Giru detects a Dragon Ball on a nearby planet, and as soon as they land, they encounter this giant scorpion-like creature, and although they get it to go away, it seems like that will be the biggest issue they face there, until they realize that they are stranded. Their encounter with the giant scorpion causes the ship's water supply to spill, and this is what brings about the Saiyans' true #1 obstacle on this planet. Rhodes was a desert planet, and along with being really dry and sandy, Rhodes was extremely hot. So as Trunks is attempting to fix the ship and Goku monitors the surrounding area, Pan is told to go inside the ship and play. And of course, she doesn't take this well. So she storms off and tries to find the Dragon Ball by herself to prove her worth. And when she leaves, Goku doesn't notice she's gone, nor Trunks. It is Giru that sees Pan fly off and is the first to go after her. Also, this is a good time to mention that I am a really big fan of GT's soundtrack, especially in an episode like this where there isn't too much dialogue because the plot is about a girl being stranded in the middle of nowhere. Overall, GT's soundtrack was very different from Dragon Ball Z's, and I think it's fitting because the tones of the two series are vastly different in my opinion. Getting back to the story, Pan is lost in the desert, no water, and has no energy to move. Another one of those giant scorpion centipedes is getting ready to attack her while she's completely defenseless, and she calls out for Goku and Trunks to save her, but guess who shows up instead? Giru. The robot Pan has been nothing but mean to this whole time. Not only does Giru rescue Pan and beat the monster, but he also finds the Dragon Ball on Rhodes. Yeah, Goku and Trunks end up fighting Pan and they find an oasis to refill their water supply, but the highlight of this episode was the relationship between these two. So the Saiyans leave Rhodes, and as they are flying in space to find the next Dragon Ball, Giru has this moment. He starts glowing and moving in ways he hasn't so far, and we learn that this is because the planet that the ship was currently passing happened to be where Giru was created. After learning of his desire to return home, Pan asks that Trunks turn around and go back, and he reluctantly agrees. Little did they know that this planet will be the source of their greatest trouble since leaving Earth. Shortly after Pan's request, the group lands on the planet known as M2, and within minutes of their landing, Giru has another one of those moments where he's glitching, but this time Goku just punches him in the head and he stops. The group makes their way to the city, which looks beautiful in the distance, but after walking around, they realize that the city is barren. It appears to be futuristic, but the place had obviously been empty for a long time. Suddenly, these green machines that look a lot like Giru start appearing and refer to Ginyu by his model number instead of the names the Saiyans call him. Giru abruptly flies off and later regroups with the Saiyans, but ends up leading them into a trap with a group of machines known as the Sigma Force. The Sigma Force captures and knocks out Goku and Trunks, but leaves Pan because yet again, she isn't viewed to be as valuable as the other two. As the Sigma Force leaves with Giru, not only does Pan have to try to rescue Goku and Trunks, but she has to deal with the fact that she had just gotten betrayed by someone she was close to. an individual that Pan just opened up to. Their relationship was the only reason the Saiyans came to this planet in the first place. So as Pan sneaks into the base of General Ryodo's operations, she sees a ceremony where Giru is being honored for his traitorous actions towards the Saiyans. Pan would love to take her anger out right at this moment, but she has more important tasks at hand. Now as Pan continues to follow these machines she's blending in with, they walk through a wall, which is something she cannot do. So instead of being captured for her cover being blown, she's actually deemed to be defective and thrown in a room with all of the other defective machines. In this room we get more history about Planet M2. It was once about as lively as a planet full of machines could be. They had feelings and weren't all about turning others into machines. And as compelling as this story was, Pan couldn't stay for too long because she has to save Goku and Trunks. Eventually, she finds them in a room where they are being studied like guinea pigs, and Goku basically breaks out on his own. And my only thing is, why didn't he do this earlier? Again, I understand it was harder for Goku to control his power in his younger body, but all it took was flaring up his power for a second and he broke free. What happens after this is basically Goku versus the Sigma Force. When they are separated, they are too weak to beat Goku. And when they fuse together into the Sigma Force cannon, they are too weak to beat Goku. But that's okay. Unlike the other planets the Saiyans have visited so far, this planet has a fighter who we can assure can provide some sort of real resistance for Goku. It didn't take long for Goku and Ryodo to finally meet. And when I first watched this, I remember being so excited because Goku said Ryodo was stronger than Buu, and I was like, finally, a real challenge. But before they get to fight, an irresponsible Pan causes Trunks to be turned into a metal slate. So not only do they have to beat General Ryodo, but they also have to return Trunks to his normal state. So Pan takes care of that, and Goku fights Ryodo. And in the beginning, Goku struggles. Ryodo has unique abilities like being able to detach parts of his body and shooting them at Goku at high speeds. But as expected, Goku starts to overpower Ryodo. What was unexpected was the return of the Sigma Force. They grab a hold of Goku, and as Ryodo is preparing to take the final blow, Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan, reducing the Sigma Force to pieces and pushing General Ryodo away. Goku and Ryodo then agree that it's time to take things seriously, so Ryodo uses the scrap pieces from the Sigma Force to form a stronger body fit for taking on a Super Saiyan. And I like something Ryodo says here. He speaks about how a machine's energy is focused, and if there are multiple, they all work towards one goal. Whereas a person made of flesh and blood has thoughts and energy that is scattered, leaving room for unpredictability. And when their conflict was put into this context, it made the fight more interesting to me. We earlier learned that Dr. Mu is after the Dragon Balls for no other reason than growth. His order to capture Goku and Trunks was simply because he wanted their power for his own. It was highly unlikely that Dr. Mu would ever be able to create a machine that could be as strong as a Saiyan. Speaking of the strength of a Saiyan, Goku is overpowering Ryodo again, and as he gets ready to fire a Kamehameha, Ryodo transforms again. He covers himself in a liquid metal, and this is his strongest form. But it isn't just because of his physical strength. In this form, Ryodo controls all of Planet M2. From the trees, the ground, the buildings, he can even displace his physical form to somewhere else on the planet. Goku had his hands full with this one, but Pan had her hands full too. As she searched for Trunks, she kept getting stopped by the purple Girus and was overwhelmed. She left the tower where she looked for Trunks and ended up back outside where she saw Goku playing a game of cat and mouse with Ryodo. In his liquid metal form, Goku couldn't really fight Ryodo hand to hand, or he'd likely get transformed into one of those metal slates Trunks was turned into. Pan enters the fight not knowing this, causing Goku to get caught off guard and turned into a metal slate along with Pan. Now, all three Saiyans are in Dr. Mu's lab, being prepared to be dissected, but unexpectedly, Giru saves the day. He rescues Goku and Pan, and before they can save Trunks, his metal slate is taken by Dr. Mu's forces, and during the Saiyans' attempt to get it back, Trunks' slate is shattered. They went through all of that work just to still lose their friend. But I think this is where the greatest twist of the series happens. After seeing his slate shattered, we then see a perfectly fine Trunks walking down some stairs. Trunks explains to Goku and Pan that all of their interactions on Planet M2 were planned by Trunks and Giru, and this is terrible for Dr. Mu. How could the brilliant scientist be bested like this again? First Lord Lude, now Planet M2. Dr. Mu's plans kept being foiled by the Saiyans, and in what seemed like a last-ditch effort to escape, Dr. Mu rushes towards this door, a door that Trunks seems to know something about. And against Dr. Mu's wishes, Trunks opens that door. And what lies ahead is not only the greatest threat in Dragon Ball GT, but greater than any threat in Dragon Ball Z as well. Trunks believed that he was saving the galaxy by opening this door. He couldn't have been more wrong.